Hello everyone. I'm going to start off the video starting to go over our content standards first. To do a quick review, so our content standard is students describe the American Indian nation in their local region long ago and in recent past. Our substandard is describe national identities, religious beliefs, customs, and various folklore traditions. Our learning objective, again, is students will be able to describe national identities, religious beliefs, customs, and various folklore traditions through an outline, blog journal, or a mind map with 6 out of 9 correct characteristics. So we, as my group and I have done, we've been working through each section. Last time we worked on the evaluation section, and we've split up our little section into the engagement section, exploration, explanation, and our elaboration. For our elaboration, we are going to be doing a jigsaw questionnaire for that section with the students working as a group, and each pair will be in a different center, and they will be masters in the content for that center and will be teaching their fellow students about their tribe and what they learned, so they can then complete a section of the Venn diagram listing the characteristics, so they'd be able to do the evaluation with our formative assessment, which again is correct identification of 6 out of 9 characteristics through an outline, blog journal, or mind map. Now for today, we worked on our explanation section, which is our centers, and what we're going to be doing that is going off of what we established in the K section of the KWL chart that we will use at the beginning of the lesson plan. We will go through some teacher talk, which are some questions that we came up with, which was, what do you think they ate? What do you think they wore? What do you think they believe? And how did they live? What did their house look like? What kind of animals or crops we found in this area? How did the landscape affect their way of life? What challenges did the geography pose? How do we know this? What evidence did we see that proves this? What do you still want to know? And what could we have missed? So all these questions will be said throughout the centers between all of my colleagues, which each one have a different tribe, which is listed here, and we will all become masters in each tribe. So that way we have one of our metacognitive section over here, which is, are we masters of the content we are teaching, so that we can answer questions, guide understanding, which is an essential part when you're learning about something maybe new to some students that may not know much about Native American tribes. Some more questions that we will be posing throughout the centers is, we are going to be learning about different tribes in each center, and you will become an expert who will help teach your fellow classmates in a smaller group with a partner. So each student will have a partner in each center, so that way they are able to relay any information and get help from that partner. For some of our barriers, we did talk about some students may not prefer to learn in station centers or have different ways. Not all students learn the same ways, basically. So that way they have some form of help from a different student that may be well aware of how to take information from stations or centers. Once they have done that, each center will go over each tribe, which would be their food, living conditions / location, clothing, religion, and traditions, by using a variety of materials, which we as the teacher will be providing them with, which would be maybe a video, some books, or pictures of the tribes and the location where they're found at. That way, again, since most students don't learn in different ways, we can cover as much space as we can to make sure all students are able to retain the information that we provide to them, and then themselves be able to teach their fellow students in their groups. some of the solutions we came up with for our barriers would be students will have the opportunity to come back together as a whole class as well as split into groups and have a fellow expert help with collaboration. So as we move through the pairs and them teaching, we as the teachers will go by to ensure that all students are in the right position to be able to do our final formative assessment. So that way they can have all the information from the food, living conditions, location, clothing, religion, or traditions. Another solution we came up with is the materials that we'll provide for them. We'll have either picture books, pictures of the clothing, if the clothing isn't available physically, and videos talking about the tribe, the religion, possibly what kind of food they eat, and so on and so forth. So some of the questions, again, back to the metacognitive section. Am I checking that students are engaged and involved? So during centers, like we mentioned before, some barriers would be some students might not be well adapted to learn in the stations or centers. So using our questions from the teacher talk, we'll be able to make sure that students are still engaged and involved in the activities or going through the information to make sure that everyone has the correct information. So when they go back to their groups, they're able to inform the other students. Another question we had is the center model of teaching effective in this lesson? Do I need to adjust for next time? Sometimes classes may not work well in centers or stations. So making sure that you're always aware of making sure that the way you're giving the information is effective for the student. And if there's any adjustment or rethinking to be done, you can take notes on how everything is going. And again, as teachers, am I relaying the information to current day cultures? So even though most of the information we're getting is from past events, during this time, we should also be connecting it back to current times with the tribes if they are still around or if there are any still traces of them, as in like a reserve area for Native Americans. And another question is, am I relating the information back to students? So making sure that all the information, again, why are students learning this, to make sure students know why the information is important and possibly how today's society came to be based off of how Indian tribes used to act in between themselves. And our last one is, are there different perspectives in the material sources I am using? So making sure the material is useful in different ways, maybe as a historian writing a book or directly from someone that is from that tribe or is a descendant of those tribe members, to make sure that all aspects or ideas and visions are presented to the students so that way they can get a different perspective on the same tribe from different areas.